Your host, Jim, and with me as always is
Mark.
Mark. How are you?
Oh, great. Jim, how are you?
Great.
Yeah,
I can't complain.
yeah.
How was Spookala?
So apparently, Jim, you had a good time at Spookala, right?
Yes, I did.
Except for a certain singer.
That no. Let's
Oh, yeah.
so Joe. Let me give you a little bit of backstory. Right, Mark and I both just went to the same horror con over in Tampa. I went on Saturday, and Corey Taylor was there and did an acoustic set, which was amazing. Like the dude's super talented, but he kept running the set like it was a rock concert, like screaming for the audience to make noise
I'm
and stuff,
sorry.
and it just didn't fit with an acoustic set, in my opinion.
I'm sorry. He's a singer of Slipknot. If you don't know who that is, so.
Gotcha.
So anyway, enough about that, Mark. Mark, who do we have on with us today?
Well, before I have a confession to make.
Oh God.
Okay. Joe, I'm sorry you have to be on here for this.
Okay.
It's probably been 25 years since I bought a box of condoms. But I did buy one yesterday.
Oh, you did?
And they're very special.
Yeah.
So it's one of these is coming your way then, huh?
It is. It is.
See, Mark, if you would have gone to Mad Monster, you could have gotten one. He was giving them out. I have one on my shelf.
Oh, okay. I want my money back now.
You got to go to Atlanta to do that, buddy. Sorry. So, Mark, if you don't know, Joe Lim is the writer and director of the new. It is a horror comedy, right, Joe?
Yep, you got it.
Horror comedy, The Fetus, starring Bill Moseley and Lauren Lavera. Lavera, thank you. I'm terrible.
I know, I get that mixed up too.
Mark, what is Lauren known for?
Oh, just a little movie series called Terrifier.
Yep. So, Joe, a lot of this will be the same questions I asked you when we met in person, but there was no audience then, right?
I'll try and ask you interesting questions.
Hello, Big Papa Frock. Anyway, so tell us about how The Fetus came to be.
That's
I mean the film.
When daddy and the mommy love each other very much.
Naturally in real life, or no? You said
no.
So, yeah. I mean, honestly, I wanted to tell a story that I really hadn't seen before in horror, because we always have this opposing force, whether it's like a ghost or killer or monster, and then you got the humans on this side, and one's chasing the other, and then one has to kill or get rid of the other somehow. Right. I'm like, well, why don't we combine that and put it in the human? And that creates a bigger moral dilemma. It's like you've got this monster inside of you, but you need it. It's threatening your life, and it's rapidly growing inside of you. But what if there's a chance that with the right things that you do, it could grow up to be good? And so that was kind of what I wanted to explore, and just something that would come out of a woman's body, kill people, and go back into her. How would she deal with that?
I've seen the trailer. It looks like it's going to be one hell of a ride. I'll give you that much.
So initially, Joe, whenever I just looked at the synopsis on IMDb, and I'm like, with the synopsis, it was like I wasn't sure whether it was going to be like a Rosemary's Baby sort of thing. Whether it was going to be like a long sort of, hey, something's growing inside her, or whether it was going to be the more kind of B schlocky stuff. But the trailer gave me the answer to that question.
Thank God it's not Rosemary's Baby. That's all I have to say, because that movie's fucking boring, Mark. It's awful.
Well, you know what I mean, as far as, is it the woman going to be pregnant for most of the movie, and then at the end she gives birth to something? Or does she give birth earlier, and that something does things, right?
Yep. It looks.
That's an interesting thing you bring up, Mark, because in our trailer we literally only give you like 20% of what is seen in the story. Like, you're not seeing a whole bunch of other stuff, so people get very surprised when they watch the movie. They're like, I didn't know it was going to take this turn over here, I didn't know this thing was in it and all this stuff. Because today, a lot of times trailers just give you so much that I'm just like, I don't need to watch this now. Like,
Yep.
I know the whole thing. But, you know, what you were saying about, my God, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's
okay.
Baby. Yes. Rosemary's Baby. That is a slow burn, depressing movie. It is great for what it is and what it's trying to do. But I'm more of the roller coaster kind of a guy that likes to take you on a journey, at twists and turns and emotional ups and downs, and like who's going to do this, who's changing sides. That's what I like, you know. So it's a lot more exciting than a Rosemary's Babies type. And it's, to me, my inspirations were The Thing and Nightmare on Elm Street. Those two films.
So I'm good with both of those. No. Hello, Don Play. And you're very funny, Big Papa Frock. Appreciate that. Anyway, so is this your first feature?
First feature. Yeah, I did a bunch of shorts before this. I directed 12 shorts and produced about 20.
That's amazing. You got quite a cast for your first feature, though. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say, what's interesting is that, I mean, we got Bill first, but then second was Lauren, not knowing that she was gonna blow up in Terrifier 2.
Right.
Out.
That's awesome.
And you know what's funny? I mean, as far as Bill Moseley, right? Okay, so us horror nerds know him from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 all the way up to now. And then Lauren right now is so buzzworthy, right? As far as like the younger culture, right? Who really bought into the Terrifier. So you're really getting these two actors from different eras.
Yep.
So you've got a big wide audience there who's already going to be like, Bill's in it, I'm gonna go watch it. Or Lauren's in it, I'm gonna go watch it. So
right.
I think that is, very good casting, even just in hindsight.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Joe, are you currently? I keep seeing promotions for screenings at the Broadmoor. Are those ongoing, or is that one showing that I just keep seeing?
Broadhead. That's one showing that's coming up. It's being handled by our social media manager, Ali Dilak. So yeah, we've sold a bunch of tickets,
nice.
And it's like a 5-hour thing going on there. So there's other stuff that happens there. There's it's like a haunted house museum that there is.
Oh, nice.
I'm sending over a bunch of merch tomorrow because some of the ticket holders they've been asking to buy merch while they're there. And Evan Towle, who plays young Maddox, who's the younger version of Bill Moseley, he's going to be there as well.
Nice.
Doing a Q&A. So yeah, it's we got that going, and then later on we're going to have a digital release of the film because we are partnering with a distributor and then a international sales agent.
Nice.
We were trying to do it ourselves at first.
Yeah.
And then we found out that we need them because they can blast it out to like up to 60 platforms.
Wow.
So we're trying to do what's right for the film right now. So what platform was your crowdfunding on? I can't remember. Was it Kickstarter? Yeah.
So is that still up?
No, that's
okay. I couldn't remember. I donated after you and I talked, and then I was like, I can't remember if that campaign's still going on or not. And I wanted to mention it if it was.
Oh, you did? Have you been getting the updates, like the postcard? Yeah. Oh, you have?
Well,
okay.
I got the email. I haven't filled out the form yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Maybe I have. I don't think I filled out the form yet, but yes, I got the email. I'm getting the updates for sure. So I'm excited.
Okay, great.
Right. Mark?
Yes. So whenever I heard about the Fetus, what sprung to mind? I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you seen The Suckling?
I've heard of it.
From 1990. It's it's about a woman who goes to get an illegal abortion at the time, and then the fetus is flushed down into the sewers with chemicals and whatever, and comes up as a monster.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder if this is like a spiritual successor or something.
I'm gonna have to watch that, Mark.
Oh yeah. And also it reminded me of Frank Henenlotter.
I was waiting for that.
Chris Gore of Film Threat brings that up.
Yeah, like Bad Biology is
Basket
probably
case, he said.
Yep. So kind of that body horror, but it's less Cronenberg and it's more B horror body horror. There you go.
Yep.
Put that on.
Well, Cronenberg is very serious,
Right.
dark and serious. I'm doing the
The
comedy balancing act, So
Yeah.
I want you to have fun in this, not get depressed when you come out of it, like Wisner's.
As much as I love Cronenberg, I rarely rewatch his movies.
Yeah.
But I will rewatch more kind of the fun B horror stuff because that's kind of what I always liked. It's my personality, I guess.
That's fair.
So, Joe, you were saying that you did a lot of shorts prior to this, right? And so what gave you the initial spark to be like, okay, I'm going to make something here. I'm going to make a full length movie. And how did that process go for you?
Once I did my last short film, it's called Fugitive Zero. It's this action thriller. My intention was to make a 15-minute short and use that to raise funds for the actual feature film. But when I met a producer at Virtual Can, he was like, "Oh, Joe, I can't back you for this big movie. It's going to cost, like $3 to $5 million." Well, but I've got this horror screenplay, that I'm looking for a director for. I read it and I was like, I can't do this. It's just a bad story. Some guy in the forest killing like 3 demonic women for like no reason. Like literally, I was just like, okay, I can't do that. But I was like, well, why don't I write something similar cast, budget, locations? And yeah, then we developed this project 45 drafts later, a year into it, and out came the Fetus. I mean, no pun intended.
That's pretty great. So give out, we should have done this in the beginning, but give out the social medias for the film so people can follow you guys.
Well, right now, I would say I want to share our giveaway. We've got this 25,000 grand prize giveaway. So if any of your followers go to thefetusmovie.com, completely free to entry. You just put your name, your email, and then there's like some social actions you can do to like gain more entry points. If you buy merch, like every dollar equals 1 entry point. So if you buy a poster for $20 and you get 20 entry points, it's gonna end in 2 days, less than 2 days.
Yep.
So you got to get in now, thefetusmovie.com. Besides that, we have our social medias, which is The Fetus Film. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. What's the other one? TikTok. So all of it is The Fetus Film.
Awesome. And I just entered the giveaway today, so I'm not going to
lie. So the box of condoms could lead to $25,000 in my pocket.
It could?
Well, it wouldn't be in your pocket. It's like 2 tickets to fly to the cabin where we actually filmed it. You do get a $2,000 spending spree if you win as well.
Yeah, in sort of immaterial terms, right? But that could be mine for a box of condoms.
It could be.
Yeah, exactly. It's the value of it, all these like creature prosthetics and all. You actually get the fetus creature that was designed by our award-winning special effects makeup artist.
I'm not going to lie, that was the cincher for me. Not going to lie. As soon as I read through that and I saw that prosthetic, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this.
That's a big sucker. It's like this,
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, when we were in Atlanta, I don't know if you saw, but I bought a full life replica of the baby from It's Alive. I love weird shit like that.
Oh my god, I didn't know you bought that, Jim.
I did.
We don't want to know what you're doing with it, Jim.
I'm looking at it right now. It's up on my bookcase.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Okay, so what is the, I shouldn't say distribution plan, but I know you're doing the targeted screenings. Is there any sort of theatrical release that you're planning with the film?
Well, we had one. It was in a few theaters for a couple weeks, and then again, normally it goes into digital release, maybe about 45 or 90 days after that.
Yep.
But because we were self-distributing and we were meeting with a lot of distributors, like over 30 of them, and just finding out that honestly, like a lot of filmmakers were getting screwed over.
Yep.
That we were like, oh, we'll self-distribute, but we found one that's in the U.S. and one that does international from a mutual friend for like 10 years. I've known him, who's also a filmmaker. They're pretty much the only ones we trust right now. So we're getting close to partnering with them, and they're the ones that will just blast it out into the world. We're looking at a release date of around September.
Oh, nice. So what was the reception like in the limited theater run that you had?
Well, we had, I mean, if you look, I mean, there's a lot of reviews on Letterboxd, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and you get overwhelmingly it's positive.
That's awesome.
There's literally only one person who couldn't watch at a certain point.
Right.
And that person specified what it was.
Yeah.
But I think that person was taking it seriously. Everybody else just laughs at that moment.
Right.
You see what I mean? But that person just, there was either a personal or something that they took offense to and then had to turn it off. But we're getting like 8 out of 10s, like from like Film Threat, or 4 out of 5s quite frequently. The range has been like 2.5 to 4 stars. That's kind of like been the range, but definitely enjoyable that from what I'm hearing.
That's awesome.
You should release it on VHS. It sounds very much like an 80s throwback. It really does.
We might. Yeah, we got to get the DVD done first because we're working on this documentary as well, the making of. Yeah.
So is there a tagline? Maybe I missed it. Do you have a tagline for the movie?
For the movie? Yeah, we're expecting to digitally release everywhere on September.
Oh no, he's asking about a tagline for the film.
Oh, like tagline.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you a timeline.
It's my accent. Don't worry.
Oh, I mean, the tagline is Bill and Lauren are in it. Go watch. No, I'm just kidding. It's not the tagline. The tagline is it's coming,
and that works.
That's different than a log line, though. If you're talking about a log line, that's like a one sentence describing the story.
Right.
Oh, no. He's like, usually, on some movie posters or something, they'll be like, Halloween 3 was the night no one comes home.
Yeah. Right. So ours
it's coming works perfect.
Yeah.
You thought you were terrified before. Wait till you see what's coming.
Well, you could try that. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Just so you know, some YouTube account called FBI says, we are watching you.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you.
Great.
Thanks,
I love the attention.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Any attention's good attention, my friend. We're good with that.
That's a coach to Carolyn.
If we're that important for the FBI to watch us, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, apparently something's going on. But anyway.
Okay, that's another thing to put on your cover. Ordered by the FBI.
Right.
As seen by the FBI.
Yeah, exactly. As seen by the FBI.
Endorsed by the FBI.
It's like as seen on TV. Exactly.
Yeah, right. That is perfect. So, what? I don't know. This is obviously everybody's hopes and dreams with this film are with their films are to be a raging success. But what do you hope is the final outcome after it gets released? Is it just the positive reception? Are you looking to spin it into a franchise? Do you have a plan for a sequel? What's the goal after the release?
Yeah, to me, the goal is to reach 1 million people who've watched the film. That's my goal. I don't know how long that's going to take. I will continue to push it.
Okay.
But I can't do it without guys like you or just the fans who enjoy it, just spreading word of mouth. Because it does no good for me to make a film and have nobody or very few people watch it. What's the point, right? It's like you paint a painting and you leave it in a basement. That doesn't do anybody any good. Yeah. And I've literally have received messages, literally only like, I think it was like 5 days ago. Somebody said, Joe, I watched your film. I saw it in a point in my life where I was in a bad shape. And he said, your film lifted me up. I can't thank you enough. And I'm like, wow, like, I don't know exactly what the details of what he was going through, but that's what he shared with me. And it's things like that keep me pushing forward to get this film out there. But
that's pretty amazing.
But besides that, it's all the reviews of people love it, enjoying it, the roller coaster ride and all that stuff. Everyone will have a different experience based on who they are and their backgrounds. But I did create characters that have trauma that they need to heal from. And so some people who have a shared trauma as the characters, they will experience it at a deeper level than people just going in and experiencing the fun of it. And besides that, there have been people that have said, I want to see what you do next. Is there a sequel? Film Threat has said, Chris Gore, a Film Threat, said, I see this as a franchise. You have a franchise on your hands. And I'm like, well, it's going to depend on if some of the cast wants to come back. Not everybody does. I know that some of the cast members, they're looking at doing romantic comedies or things like that, branching away from horror. Bill is he's ride or die, horror for life. Yeah. So I can rely on him if I want to bring him back. But yeah, I'm going to go and do a sci-fi action thriller next. And then it's possible that I revisit The Fetus, but we have to see how it performs. If enough people grab onto it, spread it out, and it catches on.
You could do a prequel, The Embryo.
The insemination. Yeah.
The insemination.
The zygote.
Yeah, right?
And then the biggest horror, the toddler.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's pre-sperm, Yeah.
There's
pre something else, but I won't say that.
Yeah. We've been banned before, so it wouldn't shock me.
Speaking of being banned, I've been banned from Etsy for life. I have a permanent ban because in the beginning, 2 years ago, I put up mugs and like some T-shirts on Etsy that literally just said The Fetus, our logo, The Fetus, on there.
Yeah.
I got suspended at first, and they said you have 6 months to appeal. I kept trying to appeal. They wouldn't let me appeal.
Huh.
And then I got banned.
Huh.
They probably thought it was like political or something. I don't know. I don't know what Etsy is.
If enough people complain, we've had weird things happen. Like distributors saying, if we're going to take this on, you got to change the name because Walmart and other retail stores, they won't accept it. We've had sales agencies, like the CEO has an emergency meeting, says, I need to see this film. He watches it. He's like, I feel uncomfortable about this. We are not taking this movie on. I've had influencers say, I cannot show the trailer. I believe it's going to offend my fans and all sorts of things. So, Planned Parenthood, they were supposed to come to our LA premiere. They got cold feet and they backed out, So it's been all sorts of stuff, but I'm okay with it because I'm okay with pushing the boundaries. And that's the whole point of getting in to a movie like this, especially the genre of horror. To me, you can go places where other movies won't.
That's a badge.
That's the point, right? Because horror always has a message.
It's a badge of approval for horror fans, right?
Yep.
More people say, "Oh my God, you can't release this. You can't name it this. You can't do this. You can't do that."
Yeah.
Us horror fans are like, "Okay, now I'm interested."
Yeah, exactly. There's
It's
one
really
scene in the trailer that I watched, and I went, "Okay, now I really have to see it." And I don't want to spoil the trailer for anybody, but there's one point where Lauren has things coming out of her. And I just went, okay, now I really got to see what the hell's going on. This is awesome.
But it also goes to show, talk about Lauren, like Terrifier, they number 1 box office.
Yep.
And, he had to self-finance because, they wanted him for like 2 or 3 to cut down the gore and make it more, nice. He's like, no, fuck you. I'll just make it with my own money. And now the way Hollywood, goes, once something's a big hit, they tend to like try and ride that gravy train too. So I'm wondering if that, is maybe going to start to change a little bit, and we're getting back to more exploitative gore horror movies in like mainstream Hollywood.
We can hope.
Well, I think so. I heard Novocaine was like pretty gory and bloody.
Haven't seen that yet. So I'm curious, Joe, what was it like because there appear to be a lot of practical effects in this film. Is that accurate? Because I haven't watched the film yet.
Yep.
How was that experience? Because that can be really, really difficult to pull off.
It was a little stressful because I'd never worked with practicals before, ever.
Right.
But I just had to trust, this guy who'd won 2 awards, the equivalent of the Oscars in his country, Colombia, who created these, practical creature effects, different variations of them, and then a team that we flew in, puppeteers from Mexico, to let them handle it. I mean, I was at the mercy of them and their expertise. If I try to step in and be too overhanded, heavy-handed with it. Like I could have messed it up, to be honest, but luckily we pulled it off. And surprisingly, a lot of people don't even realize that we shot in a green screen studio.
Okay.
Aside from location in Pennsylvania, they're like, what? Like what scenes? That tells me like, oh, we blended it just right, for the practical and VFX to work together. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Was there anything you had to cut back due to budget, or is there anything like if you had like an extra $1 million that you would love to have put in, but never even kind of wrote it in initially due to the budget?
We didn't even have $1 million, Mark.
Nice.
That would be amazing.
If you had a bunch more money.
Yeah, there would have been. Yes, there would have been something more. The film would have been longer. It would have gone into other places that are otherworldly, let's say.
Okay.
But that being said, I when I do a sequel, that's where I can take it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a continuation of the story you intended to tell in the first film. Because we were talking to Brendan a few weeks ago, where he said there's 3 versions to a film. There's the film that you write, the film that you shoot, and the film that gets released. So it makes total sense to me.
Yep.
Right, Mark?
Not to me, Jen, but that's just you. I'm just kidding. So I'm kind of interested in your sci-fi action movie that you have planned, because I love that genre too. Can you let us in on any plot points or just a general idea about what you're going for?
Yeah, it's called Memory Hunter, sci-fi action, and it takes place in the future where the worst offending criminals, you're talking rapists, murderers, they have their minds erased. And so you'll have 40-year-olds bodies with the mind of an infant, and they got to start over and get re-educated on their morals. But we follow this guy. He's a memory hunter, like a detective. And what happens is he gets framed for murdering his wife, and he goes on the run, and to clear his name, he has to download his wife's dead memories into his brain to find the clues to catch the real killer.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it does.
I kind of like a lot of the memory changes in some of the sci-fi movies, like Johnny Mnemonic, even though that movie's kind of cheesy. But just the idea about uploading and downloading Strange Days, great movie. That kind of, you're never really sure where the character's at, because you're not really sure what's in their head. And that could be changed too. So yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm going for a cross between Minority Report and Memento.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, those two. Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you have an ideal cast that you would want in that film, or have you already cast it?
I don't work that way. Yeah, because it's once I write it, then it starts to like solidify, because you also have to think of budget ranges. Making a movie for, let's say, 500,000, 5 million, 50 million, right? You can get different casts, and it depends on, let's say, that if I can get a certain studio on board, right?
Right.
What level of financing are they used to obtaining, right? Or if I'm getting my own financing, right? So it's just it's all going to vary.
So when you write, in general, you write and just let the story dictate where it goes, and you don't really have an actor in mind or a certain type of character. You just sort of let them progress and then do a normal casting process to see if the actor that comes into audition fits what you envision for that role.
Right, because when I'm writing, there's an exploration as opposed to me and my brain and what I've seen in the world that I'm like trying to impose onto it. Versus like these characters, once I start writing, it's almost like they're like traveling through me.
Right.
They're over there somewhere. And as I'm writing, like I'm drawing them through me, which is, I know it's a weird thing to describe, but they're doing the talking, they're doing the actions. And I'm like a stenographer. I'm dictating, I'm writing down all the things that they're doing. Quentin Tarantino has described something like this before, where
Yeah.
the characters start living and breathing, and they're just bouncing around in his head, and he's just got to get it down and spit it out.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Yeah.
So as a writer, and different writers have different approaches, right? So sometimes a writer will have an idea about the general plot, beginning, middle, and end, and they'll write it and they'll flesh it out. Sometimes they have a start and the end, and they'll try and build in between, and then some kind of evolve as they go along. So do you generally have like an overall idea about the plot, or do you kind of work it out as you go along, or do you have something else?
Yeah. So the way I do it is like I go, okay, here's the story, and I'm able to go like plot it all the way here, right? And then I'll replot it, refine it, right? So it's almost like there's all these like plot, like I don't know, like storylines that I've created, and I've settled on one, and then I go to writing, and then it goes like this everywhere.
Okay.
Because what's happening is sometimes I'm pulling from the storyline 3, storyline 45, storyline 32, right? That's just the process, and that's why it takes me. When I wrote the Fetus, it was 45 drafts, because I had all these like storylines, but the last one, I couldn't just do it linearly,
right?
And I literally had it plotted on like an Excel spreadsheet. I had to go pull the best of the best from all the other storylines.
So you want to be a pantser, but you're really a plotter, and it almost sounds like you're almost graphing.
Yeah.
If you were to put all this down on paper.
Yeah.
And then as a director, how much leeway do you give your characters, your actors, to kind of ad lib or come up with their own stuff?
It's like near 100%. Like I tell them, like, look, I wrote these characters, but you're the one that has to bring it to life. When I read it, I interpret it a certain way. It's perfect in my mind, but it cannot be what's in my mind. It's got to be your mind and your heart, the way you behave, the way you perform. You take this character on now. I am giving you this character. It's no longer mine. And whatever you do on screen is what we're going to capture. So if you want to mess it up, you mess it up.
Right.
There goes your career. Okay. But I say these things because I take the approach of doing a documentary where I'm not going in between takes and telling them, say it this way, move that way, say it louder, say it slower, faster. I don't do any of that. I just let them go. I don't even do takes, which is weird. What I mean by that is when we roll and we'll get 5 or 6 performances and we just reset. And there is no, I'm not calling cut until they've done it like 5 or 6 times, because I don't want to interfere with what they're doing. I just say, reset, go again, reset, go again. There's no cutting until the very last one. Then we cut. And then it's one of those that we're keeping, but they're left to their own devices. No.
That's awesome. I mean, I know that a lot of people, when they, at least from what we've talked to, a few people are very, you stick to the script. This is what I wrote. This is what I envision. This is the film I want to make. So I think it's great that you give them a little bit of creative freedom to bring that character to life. I think that's fantastic.
So you're not Stanley Kubrick.
No. No.
Okay, take 155. Go. Do it right this time.
No, that's crazy to me. Even if I had like the budget to do that, I wouldn't put the actors to do that. I trust the actors. And for example, Bill Moseley, his first shot, he was like, he saw like, 4 or 5 lines of dialogue. He's like, why don't I just throw all this out and just say this one thing? Most directors, they're going to be like, no, you got to say it this way. For me, I was like, oh, thank God. Because that means the character is telling him something
right
that's true to the character and not to what I want. And so I said, Bill, you go for it. Let's do it.
And I think there's something to be said about, especially like kind of schlocky, fun horror comedies.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can really tell like when people are enjoying themselves on set.
Yes.
And that kind of comes through in performances. So I think, the hands-off approach certainly works in this genre maybe better than many genres.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. I mean, I always appreciate any film where you can tell that the actors are just enjoying the hell out of it, right? Because it comes through in how they perform, and that always makes it more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think some films I see, like I can still see the actor thinking
Yeah,
about what they're saying,
right.
And I'm like, I want to give the actors the freedom, like whatever you feel, whatever comes out of your mouth, just spit it out.
Right.
It's fine. If it doesn't work, we're gonna edit it out. No worries.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Yeah. So you said that I believe you said, if I remember correctly, sorry, I've had a few hard seltzers tonight, but you said A Nightmare on Elm Street and The Thing were sort of your inspiration for The Fetus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the movies that you liked early on that inspired you to write a horror film?
Early on? When you say early on, are you talking about like when I was a kid?
Yeah, like in your formative years, or even stuff that you might have watched that inspired you to take on a horror film? Because horror is very subjective, and it takes, I don't know, I don't want to say a special mind, but it takes a certain desire to actually want to delve into the genre, in my opinion. Right? Gotcha. Mark and I are screwed up in the head, so we know why we love horror.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, because the intention was always to do an action thriller as my first movie.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that producer was like, I can't back you for this big movie. Let's do the smaller one.
Right.
And I had to go like, oh my God, I never planned on doing a horror movie ever in my life. Ever. Right. So I literally was like, okay, I'm going to brush up on my horror watching. I love horror, of course. Right. But I was like, I'm going to watch 25 horror films to see what everyone else is doing. And of course, some of them I was rewatching stuff that I've seen before.
Yeah.
But what really grabbed me was a movie called Lights Out.
Mm-hmm.
And, that movie, mainly because it's like there's a lot of like layers to it, especially the trauma. There's like this generational trauma with the mom, the daughter, and her younger brother. So it's almost like 3 generations of trauma going on.
Right.
With the good storyline and some good scares. And so I just found that fascinating, as opposed to just watching like a slasher that was just about like going around killing and you don't care about the people in there. We've all seen that, right? It's like you could take that character, swap them out with somebody else, and it wouldn't matter. But you've got specific issues that a character is going through. Like you can't swap that character out. And to me, that's what the horror fans gravitate towards. That's why they love certain characters so much. They're so unique in their own ways, whether it's they're dealing with issues or they've got quirks or the way they do things, the way they, kill or attack or protect people, right? Like you're talking about Sienna, Lauren Rivera in Terrifier 2, like the way she protects her brother. People just went crazy over that,
mm-hmm.
And so, so that's something that jumped out at me, that movie Lights Out, besides all the others that I watched.
Well, I mean, that's
so. I do have a question whenever we bring up The Thing and Nightmare on Elm Street, because to me they're very, very different movies, obviously.
Yep.
And The Thing's clearly, a lot about paranoia and body horror. And I only saw the trailer, so I'm wondering what aspects of A Nightmare on Elm Street might be in
it. The craziness of it. This cannot happen in the real world. Even though it's a dream world, right? And it's like crossing over the dream and reality and all this stuff. And like they're dying in real life, even though they're having these nightmares. And it's just like, oh my God, the craziness, the zaniness, the things that the director was able to pull off because of that. The merging of the different worlds. That's why, there is a demonic entity involved with the fetus. And so I'm able to do certain things that are just wild and zany and just out there, and it's there's some shock value to it. There's just some unexpected moments that, like I said, somebody was so offended they couldn't watch the movie anymore, whereas everybody else is just like laughing their heads off, So that's kind of the inspiration behind it. It's just the zaniness. But a well-told story where it's like it just grabs me. Those two movies, when it's on, Like I'm like nothing else matters. I'm just locked in, and I'm like in the journey, and that's what I want to create with the Fetus as well.
Yeah, it's creating that world, right? And that world that you wouldn't want to be in necessarily, but it's great to watch.
Yeah.
I agree. I will say though that with A Nightmare on Elm Street, as I've gotten older and the movies continue, I identify more and more with Freddy than I do with the teenagers now. So I'm rooting for him in the newer films.
Well, I think that's kind of the slasher genre in general, though, right? I mean,
I don't know if it's a slasher genre in general. It's me as I get older.
No, I mean, I think people watch Friday the 13th not for the complex characters and their interrelationship.
That's true.
It's like, how is he going to kill them now?
Right.
Which is fun by itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's good when they mix it, and this is why I really love Joe, like stuff like Frank Henenlotter, Basket Case Brain Damage and stuff. You do get interesting characters, but then there's just weirdness going on.
Yep.
And a lot of it is obviously body horror type stuff. And it's just like you've never seen something like that before, right? It's always like, wow, that's nuts. And I like it.
Well, Mark, you're touching on something that is a foundation for me as a filmmaker, is that I want to show people something they've never, ever seen before. I'm tired of like so many movies being remade or sequels that are just copycats of the original.
Right.
I'm tired of it. I'm seriously tired of it. And so it's harder to do something that people haven't seen before, but I'm willing to spend the time, energy, and effort to do it. And this film took 4 years, literally 4 years to spit out, but to me, it's all been worth it because of all the reviews that are coming in. So
I have a question now, Mark. So Joe, I'm curious. Are you an Evil Dead fan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one is your favorite?
Army of Darkness.
See, I don't disagree with that, but Mark loves Evil Dead 2, but based on your previous comment, I am anticipating it's not your favorite because like 90% of the movie is just a retread of the first film.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on.
It's a little different. I think he was trying to. It feels like, from what I remember, it's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah,
he was trying to do the first one justice by kind of almost like doing it over, but in a better way.
So what happened was for Evil Dead 2 is supposed to be a direct follow-on from Evil Dead, but he didn't have the rights to do kind of the flashbacks at the start. So he had to kind of incorporate that into the second one. And then it kind of continues what the story that he was trying to tell. So that's why a lot of people say, well, it's just a remake of the first. It's not really the first maybe 5-10 minutes, but it's because he lost the rights and he couldn't use it. So
Mark thinks it's better. It's a superior movie to the original.
Oh, absolutely. It's just funnier. It's just it's just better made.
It's more ridiculous for sure. Right? And I love all Sam Raimi films, so not knocking it at all. I love the entire trilogy. Though Army of Darkness is my favorite. And
Joe, sorry, going back to what you're saying as far as trying something original, I think some of the most interesting movies are some of the most difficult to market because it's either kind of really out there and, like with a lot of marketing, you're in that industry, people like to have a nice little trailer that's very simple and, explains a lot and, we're all familiar with it. Oh, we'll go see the slasher or whatever because look at this trailer. It's kind of the same, but it's a little different. But there are certain movies out there it's very hard to make a trailer for because it's either unpalatable or, it's just different. So that's why I'm really looking forward to your movie. Jim?
I do agree. I absolutely agree. So Joe, is there already an idea for a sequel other than just expanding parts of the story you couldn't tell in the first film?
Yeah, I have a couple ideas for it. Yeah. Things to explore. Yeah.
So give us without ruining anything from the movie, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching that haven't seen it yet, what's your favorite scene from the film? What was your favorite scene to shoot?
To shoot? Oh, that's a tough one. Because I can tell you what my favorite scene is in the movie after it was finished.
Okay.
Which is Maddox, played by Bill Moseley, singing.
Okay.
He's doing something while he's singing. And I mean, we've got some crazy stuff in this movie, right? The practical effects and all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's that scene that like I absolutely love, and we almost cut it out.
Really?
Movie. But I said, no, it has to be in there because it does advance the story, but it shows a side of this character that is like when you see people who are off their rockers, it's a lot of times they're portrayed like a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
They're portrayed like in a certain way. They're like, there's a certain intensity and they're serious and all these things, right? They're brooding and the eyebrows are furrowed. Bill, I had him sing this song, and it just takes his character in like a different range that still works for who he is. And so there's a lot of dimensions to his character by adding a sprinkling of something like that, besides being a father and then someone who's trying to like teach this guy who's trying to be with his daughter, he's trying to be a father figure to him, and then dealing with some other stuff going on that I can't mention because I would spoil it. Right. There's all these things that he's able to touch on, and it gives all these flavors to his character. And so most people haven't seen Bill Moseley in something like this because he's doing a wide range in terms of his character, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Mark?
Yeah, for Bill Moseley, I think he's very varied actor. Yep. And I think he's very good at playing what the role needs. And he can go from, like chop top craziness to really very serious roles and everything in between. So I think when you have actors that are obviously very talented, it must make your job a lot easier.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the fact that he's able to play a dad, like believably, but in a later scene, he's crazy. He's just like sadistic. It's like, but the funny thing is like everybody buys into it. Like they believe like what his character does. And that's the power of, having an actor that can pull that off.
It almost reminds me of, like Christian Bale in American Psycho, where, he's very business, but then he's, dancing behind Jared Leto, with an axe. And I think it's fun to have characters that are kind of have dual kind of purposes on the screen. So, yeah.
So, Joe, tell us a little bit about your favorite movies. Like, what made you want to be a writer and director? What films or what inspired you in general?
I always go back to when I was 16 and sitting in class, and my teacher said, "Oh, we're going to watch a movie called Citizen Kane," and for the next 2 days, and I was blown away because I saw all like the camera tricks behind what he was doing, and then that's when I realized that there was an artistry to movies. I didn't know that was the case. But personal favorites, my absolute all-time favorite movie is actually a sci-fi drama of all things. It's called Gattaca. It's got Ethan Hawke, Thurman. Yep. I'm also a big James Cameron fan. I love almost every single one of his movies, except Piranha 2, which he got fired from, and The Abyss. I'm not crazy about The Abyss.
Oh, I love The Abyss. One of my favorite movie-going experiences.
Yeah, but then, Aliens, right, that he did, Terminator 1 and 2. It's just, and then I'm a big Spielberg fan, a lot of his work. I'll even go back to Kurosawa, Samurai, Ingmar Bergman, The Virgin Spring, so Billy Wilder. So all these great directors that, to me, the work that they do reaches a broader audience and puts them into like more of a roller coaster ride. There's a lot of twists and turns. That's what I love. I'm not the type that is like, there's certain films where it's like the cinematography lingers for so long, and these long passages of time that are stretching out, and it's more moody,
Right.
and ethereal. I'm not into that. I can enjoy it once in a while, but that's not who I am. That's not what I want to give to audiences. I want the roller coaster ride.
That's fair.
So I always, as you're a writer and a director, I always think that writing is the number one part of making a good movie. I think you could have the most talented director, but if the writing's not good, I think it's going to fail.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. You get like Ridley Scott, for example, who's just always about the visuals, right? He doesn't, he cares about like the writing to a certain extent, but it's really about the visuals. That's why some of his movies, I think, fail. It's only whenever he has good actors and a good script already made. But like his stuff's beautiful, but like Spielberg or whatever, I think if a director can pick good writers, that's whenever you get like real movie magic.
Yeah, I agree.
And when you're a good writer and director at the same time,
yeah, right. Then
there you
you get the whole shebang right there.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about visuals, right, versus storytelling. It's kind of like Blade Runner 2049. It's like these long takes. Yeah, they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But I feel like, okay, I'm looking at a painting now versus being given a story. You know, like if that movie, if it was edited down, maybe cut out 20 minutes, something like that. Oh man, it'd be just like gangbusters. It'd just be moving along a lot faster.
Yep. So, Joe, if you could tell anybody that you talk to one movie to watch, what would it be?
Oh, God. One movie to watch?
One movie. That is not your movie. That is not your movie, to be fair.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. To me, the movie that gets me every time. Oh, my God. It's The Family Man. Nicolas Cage. This is not horror. It's not action, not sci-fi. It's The Family Man. It's just, the only time I've ever cried, even watching a trailer, I walked into a movie theater, the trailer starts, and I stop. I start crying. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, this is a romantic family comedy, and I like bawling my eyes out in a trailer, and the movie like delivered on the trailer, and I can watch it no matter what. It gets to me.
Nice.
So maybe you should put that on the poster from the writer-director who cried at the trailer of The Family Man comes the Fetus.
There you go.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That will really like audiences will be like, okay, what is this now?
Right, exactly.
It's a drama. I don't know.
But what's funny is like I don't want to make those kind of movies,
Right.
I want to do the crazy stuff like the cyberpunks or like even film noirs or action thrillers, sci-fi, all that. I want to do the crazy stuff, So, but dramas and comedies, romance, like not really. I mean,
hey, Mark, we have a question from the audience. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Is the guy in the middle a retired wrestler? He looks familiar.
You talk about brother. I'm not tall enough to be a wrestler, unless it was Rey Mysterio, I guess.
I mean, you are kind of short enough to be him, so that's fair.
We got to give you a wrestler name, Mark.
A wrestler name.
The Annoyer.
Yeah, there you go. That works for me.
The fucking idiot. I don't know.
I wouldn't go that far because you're definitely not an idiot. You're moron, maybe. Moron.
Yeah, moron.
The flying
maroon.
moron would
The
work.
maroon.
Yeah, there you go. Are you a Final Destination fan, Joe?
I love the first one.
Yeah.
I skipped all the rest. Maybe I saw the second one, I think.
Have you seen the trailer for 6?
I was at CinemaCon last week, and they showed a scene. I'm like, oh my God. I don't know if they've shown that online, but it's the machine in the hospital.
Okay.
That it scans people.
Like the MRI.
Oh, it's the MRI machine?
MRI machine. Did they show that?
I know. I don't think I've seen that.
Oh my God. They gave us a sneak peek of that. I got squeamish. It was rough to watch, like really well done, shocking.
That's awesome.
I didn't know it was going to get to me, but they showed a full scene of that, like really good. But Final Destination, it tends to feel like it keeps retreading. But maybe I'm wrong. But I haven't seen beyond the second one, so
Yeah,
No, I mean,
they
the
do the same
storyline never.
thing every time.
Yeah, it's the same story every single time, but
Yeah.
I think they come up with some pretty inventive ways to off people, and I really loved that. I
Again,
really love that about the series.
It's just a slasher without an actual slasher. It's just
Right.
setting something up like an accident. Jim, I think we have another comment.
I was waiting for you to point that out. It says the man with the mustache looks like a detective from a 1970s movie.
Is that a thing? Your fans like make these comments about you guys like that? Like,
Yeah, all the time. And we invite it. It's great. We don't mind. We don't mind at all. But anyway, so what was the experience of making the film like? Because you did mention that the budget wasn't what you wanted, but what were some of the biggest constraints you had because of your budget?
The constraints. We had to get everything every day. If we got completely rained out or a location locked us out, I don't know. I don't know what would have happened because we don't have room to shift things around. We didn't have the budget to move things around.
Right.
And then the actors, like they had what's called like a hard out. Like they had to fly out on a specific date, and that was it. Trying to move things over, add an extra day. I mean, you're talking it can cost another $20,000 just for like per day. Wow. So I mean, it's just because the quality that we were going for required that.
Right.
Yeah, there's people that make movies for like $5,000, but that's not what I wanted to do.
Right. And that's fair. I mean, that takes some great project management, though, for sure, to keep everything on track the way it needed to be. So kudos to you.
We were shortened a few times where rain came down, so I didn't get like a bigger fight scene or a certain location. We had 2 hours 45 minutes. It went down to 45 minutes that we had, and so I had to throw out storyboards or combine them. Or like there's certain stunts that we couldn't do because it would take longer because we were running behind. So but most people don't notice these things, so thankfully.
Oh, thank goodness Jim's muted himself.
Oh, sorry, my dog's barking in the background. I'm trying not to let it bleed through. But what I was saying was I imagine, pardon the expression, but I say this all the time at work, shit happens, right? So you can't really control that. So kudos to you for keeping everything on track and being able to meet your deadlines. That's amazing. And still putting out a quality product.
Yep. Whatever it takes. That's my slogan.
And that's fair. Mark?
So like the Avengers, whatever it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
Careful, yeah. Mark's going to snap his fingers. We're all going to disappear.
well, maybe this one person didn't.
Like Thanos is Marcos.
Yes, it's Marcos.
Right. Marcos.
He's got the glove in the back. He just doesn't want to show anybody.
Oh, I do have one. It's not here though, but I do.
See, I knew it, Mark. I knew you would have it. So, normally, Joe, towards the end of our segment, our interviews, we talk about things that we've watched or books that we've read, whether they're horror related or not, that we've really enjoyed or we really hated. So do you have anything that you've been watching or reading that has just struck a chord with you in general?
Struck a chord with me. The Substance. Oh, man.
That's a great movie.
That's a wild ride.
Yeah, it is.
My favorite film of last year. Just, ooh. Yeah, finally something original and refreshing.
Yeah. I agree.
So here's the thing with The Substance. Again, this is about maybe like perception or marketing. I only saw like a little, a few clips of it, and then everybody's talking about The Substance, and in my head, it was supposed to be like some sort of kind of art house, really deep and meaningful movie. And I was watching it, I'm like, I don't really get it. Then after thinking about it, I'm like, oh my god, this is like just a schlocky B movie
Yep.
really hard. So I really have to watch it again through those lenses because
Oh,
I totally I was totally confused halfway through. I'm like, what's going on then at the end when she's got the mask on? So,
you didn't get any of the exaggeration or anything?
no, I went into it thinking it was like a Lars von Trier.
Oh God, no! Oh
like,
no.
no!
No,
Oh no!
no, I mean, not like his content, but like a very serious
Yeah,
art
no, it was
movie,
definitely not that.
or like
Mhm.
Mother, or one of these sort of. And that's what I went, because I try to sometimes block out stuff before I
Yeah.
go see a movie which I know I'm going to see, and that's the impression I got. So that's why I was so. And honestly, the first first half an hour is fairly straightforward, and it's not that schlocky,
Yeah.
and it's got this weird sci-fi element to it. The only Kevin Costner, right? That's the only person that I'm like, okay, he's playing this really, really far out, and it didn't really sit with me. But then I'm like, okay, so but by the end,
Do you mean Dennis Quaid?
yeah, Dennis Quaid. I would get that
Okay.
mixed. That's when it finally clicked with me after I'd finished it, and I was
Right.
thinking about it. So,
But Mark,
And
you didn't get that from when the leg comes out. When that happened, I was like, oh yeah, we're not in the normal world anymore.
no. I knew it was going to be again some sort of like art house and body horror, and you could say even like a Cronenberg movie, right? With
Yeah.
very, very, not funny, but it really is very funny.
Yeah, it
It
is.
just took me a while to like figure that out.
It's so funny because it reminded me a lot of Frankenhooker. Because when I saw Frankenhooker, I was like 9 years old, and I snuck down into my living room after everybody went to bed and turned on HBO. And I definitely should not have been watching that at that age. But it especially with the monster at the end, it was it reminded me a lot of a movie like Frankenhooker.
Again, we're going back to Henenlotter.
Yes.
We actually have probably a much better question than we have asked
Yes.
in this entire interview.
You want to ask her?
If you could give your 20-year-old self advice for filmmaking, what would you advise them? For example, when making a short film. So if you could rewind everything with the knowledge you have now, what advice would you impart?
I would say get a screenwriting coach right away. Yes, I took screenwriting courses at my college, and I read a lot of screenwriting books. I would read screenplays. I would go to coffee shops and just sit there and write feature screenplays and short. Then I'd write the short screenplays to direct them. And so whatever I'd write, I would direct. That became my habit. There was never something I would write and just let sit there, except for the feature screenplays. And if I had gone to this teacher, which I don't know if he was teaching. He wasn't even teaching back then. His name is Corey Mandel. Anybody can go to him if you're interested. Go to corymandel.net. He broke down the structure and showed me how to actually do it the right way. I pretty much wasted 20 years writing, trying to figure out how to make an effective story in a screenplay format. Mm-hmm. Once I took his course, he just broke down all the whole science and gave all the tools. It's like trying to build a house, but all you've got are water balloons. It's not going to work. Okay, you need the right tools. And so if I had that 20 years ago, oh man, I would have started my feature film career much sooner. Because now I can take the tools that I have and I can do it the right way. I'm sure of it every time for a screenplay. I'm not going to be spinning my wheels like before. And that's the big difference.
So Mark, if you could recommend one movie to anybody to watch other than Martyrs, what would it be?
In the context of
just any movie.
Again, I love courtroom dramas, as we know.
Yep.
So I'm going to say, even though it's a very long movie, it's such a great movie and so well acted, it's Judgment at Nuremberg.
Okay.
Just Spencer. I'm a big Spencer Tracy fan.
Yeah.
If you want something a little bit more concise with Spencer Tracy in a courtroom drama, I'd say Inherit the Wind,
Okay.
which I absolutely love too.
But you can't do that. One movie. One.
Okay, I would say then it would be Electric Boogaloo 2.
That's Breaking 2, Electric
Breaking
Boogaloo.
2, yeah, whatever.
Oh, that's way back. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're old.
Yes, we are.
Jim, how about you?
Honestly, this might surprise you a little bit, Mark. It's
Oh,
going to
God.
be the Joan Crawford movie, The Women from 1932. It
Jim,
is
did you just Google that?
no, I didn't. It is a movie, and there are 0 male characters on screen in this entire film. Every male character is spoken to off screen, so it's only females on screen, and it's just rich socialite women being bitches to each other the whole time.
Well, I can say how that would appeal to you.
Yeah, it was great. It's fantastic to watch those catty women be nice, but backhand each other with everything they say. It was great.
Yeah, that's just you living your best life right there.
Pretty much, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd love to be Joan Crawford in that bubble bath on that phone.
I bet you would. Like, literally, I would bet money on that.
Does that surprise you, Mark? That movie? Me
No.
picking that movie?
Yes, it does, actually. I didn't think you watched anything prior to when you were born.
You'd be surprised, Mark.
Yeah.
You guys, there's a question that I don't understand here. If you don't mind me.
Sure, go ahead.
It says letterbox honest opinion only. For creatives, is logging films as important as creating them, or is it a balance of the two? I don't understand what logging a film is. You guys?
So, have you ever seen the Letterbox app?
Yeah.
So I think that's what what Dialogue Craft is talking about is it more important for them to get the film created on Letterbox, or is logging a view on Letterbox more important? And I honestly don't know because I don't use the app.
I still don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
So Dialogue Craft, maybe you can expound on that because I honestly cannot explain it that well because I don't use the app too much. FSay asked, what are we chatting about? We're chatting about Joe Lamb's new film, The Fetus. He wrote and directed the movie starring Bill Moseley and Lauren Lavera.
From the writer and director who cried at the family comes The Fetus.
Yeah, that will forever be your tagline, Joe. Anytime you ever come back, if you ever deign to grace us with your presence again.
Listen,
I'm not. Who cries in the trailer? It doesn't make any sense, right?
Listen, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say that I'm going to create a T-shirt with that on.
Joe, if you ever come to a con in Florida, you're in trouble. I'm just saying. And Mark, I will say that
the next. Hang on, Jim. I'm in my creative space right now. So the timeline. The next evolution in grueling body horror, The Fetus, and then just like a picture of you crying and Nicolas Cage over here.
That would be amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it would be great.
And that's everyman Nicolas Cage. That's not Crazy Cage, you know.
Which is weird. Yeah, I mean, is there really a normal Cage though?
There is. He tones it down sometimes.
My favorite Nick Cage movie ever is always going to be Raising Arizona. But, I mean, that shows my age.
Yep.
It really does. So, Mark, do you have anything you want to talk about that you watched this week?
Oh, God, what did I watch? I watched a really weird movie.
I mean, we really don't care, but go ahead and talk about it.
I watched, I'm randomly talking about just kind of cheesy movies. A movie called Hellhole.
Hellhole?
From 1985 with Mary Warnoff in it. And it's basically this guy goes after a woman and kills her in her house, but her daughter, who's like 18, 20 or whatever, sees it but she ends up being put into a mental institution, and it's all this weird sort of stuff. It's kind of exploitative, and I think half of it was to get like, kind of the woman in prison doing naked showers thing. But
Okay.
it was actually kind of fun. It is obviously low budget, mid '80s kind of slasher, then woman in prison type movie, but it was okay. It was okay for like nonsense.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Joe, anything you watched that you enjoyed this week?
This week? Oh.
Yeah.
No, I
Or
was at
recently?
CinemaCon. I was at CinemaCon for like Monday to Thursday, so I've been tied up.
Oh wow, that's pretty impressive. That's a long time.
So
I mean-
are you?
Oh,
Are you
what's
reading-
interesting? Actually, they showed the live action. I was not expecting to see this at CinemaCon, because this is a thing for movie theater owners, and they showed a lot of trailers. And there was like Tom Cruise, there was Ryan Gosling that showed up, and
Oh, wow.
it was crazy, right? Jenna Ortega, but they showed a full movie, which is the live action version of How to Train Your Dragon.
Mhm.
I'd never seen any of those movies, so
Right.
this is my first time. I was like, wow, it's pretty good. It's not really my kind of cup of tea, but it was good. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I
you-
actually really like the How to Train Your Dragon films. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I'm not shocked. I did see the trailer and thought it looked very kind of weird. But again, I haven't seen the original, and I don't know, just seemed a little weird to me. But
I haven't seen the trailer, so I don't know anything about the live action version.
I think we've got a clarification, Jim. do you want
Part of one, there was I think the ending is a little bit of is a little unfit. There we go. Does watching lots of films and logging them on apps like Letterboxd actually help the filmmakers, or does it become a distraction?
mhm.
When should someone stop watching and just start making?
that sounds like a personal question
Yes.
for yourself, Dialogue Craft. Why do you have to stop one and then start the other? Isn't there room for both? Because to me, it's kind of like, to make films, you have to stop watching films. Like, you don't need to. You can do both.
Everything's research.
Yeah.
But
So-
this, and I guess the other part of the question is, with the constant feedback that's submitted, like on Letterboxd or Rotten Tomatoes, does that become a distraction to your process, or do you actively watch those to take in the honest feedback?
I read it for the honest feedback on where I can improve. If it's just for me to feel good about myself, I don't care. It's not
Right.
I've tested the film enough to know that it works on an audience.
Mm-hmm.
I think with internet comments, it's very difficult to figure out what's honest and what isn't. Especially whenever people leave movie review. I mean, there's movies that I say I don't like or I do like, and I'll explain why.
Right.
And some, like, if I say I don't like X movie, right, whatever movie it is, and even if I explain why, people, you're just a hater. I mean, no, I will honestly tell you, but like,
I mean, unless you ask me about a Rob Zombie film, then I really am just a hater.
But it's hard to differentiate some online because it's all anonymous and people will just say dumb shit for whatever reason sometimes, and just because they're mad at the world, or I don't know.
Or because with a keyboard and a screen, there's a buffer, right? So you can be as vile as you want to be, and nobody's gonna do anything about it.
But I mean, I suppose if somebody does go into more in-depth reasoning about why they like or don't like it, that's
Right.
probably more of the honest answers, right? So,
And I mean, I'll be honest, especially with when I do a film review or something online, if I really don't like an independent film, I'm not going to do a review at all, because I don't want to be negative about a film because somebody's putting art out there. So I will just ignore it like I've never seen it. But if it's a larger budget film, I will always give an honest opinion. And the reason is because one negative review with especially some of the micro budget stuff that's come out, it can really make or break a film. And I don't want to shit on anybody's movie. But if you ask me about it in real time, I'll be honest.
Jim is a kingmaker here.
I am not. It's just a general thing because
everything is
hate, right.
Everything is dependent on Jim's.
No, not me personally. I'm just giving you what I do when I do reviews.
I'll be honest either way. I don't care about the budget or not. I'll say what I like, what I don't like, but I'll always frame it within like budgetary constraints and things like that. Obviously, lower budget, especially like micro budget or whatever, you can't have necessarily all the great equipment or even great actors. So you have to look at it through that lens. But
right.
I'm always honest. Hey, that's what life is.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I appreciate the honest comments, honest reviews, because again, how am I going to improve if everyone just sings your praises and it's like, well, okay, what do I do with that? Like, I just, I'm not here to just feel good. It's like,
right.
I'm here to get better.
But I will, I do have a few people that I know through some of the horror authors that I know, where I'll give them honest feedback. I'll be like, this book really just wasn't for me. I'm not the right audience here. Sort of like the Terrifier films. I'm not the right audience for the Terrifier films. And the only reason I've seen anything beyond the first one is because I got a really awesome chance to watch the third film with a Q&A with David Howard Thornton and Lauren and Damien Leone. So this is the only reason I even saw the third film.
I think all the Terrifier movies are good, but they all have individual problems within each one of the movies. What I will say is, talking about Lauren again, I absolutely loved her performance in the third one, even more than part two, because what she did really well in that performance was clearly she has PTSD, as you would have. And the way she plays it off around family, she tries to blow it off. Oh, it doesn't really matter, but you can really tell that there's a lot going on in there, and just it's kind of like the open face acting. So
we have an additional question. It says, "What was the biggest challenge in bringing the fetus to life? Was it more about the emotional core of the story, or the technical demands of the horror elements? And additionally, how will they be able to watch it in the UK?"
The emotional core or the technical demands. I mean, they go hand in hand, but in terms of technical demands, if you're talking about coordinating the actors with the camera and lighting department and set design and props, it literally all has to come together every single moment. Like if you leave one department out, it's just, you've got a problem. Right. And that's just how it is, and there were times where I had to leave, and there was one night I couldn't film, and I told my cinematographer, "Okay, you're the director for this night." And then towards the end, he had to leave. He had a family emergency, so the last 2 days of filming, he wasn't there.
Right.
So our gaffer had to step up and be the cinematographer. So things like that happen. But if you're like me, I build in so much preparation that someone else can step in to take over. And our co-producer was surprised that could happen, that a director could not be on set, but the train could keep moving forward in the style that I wanted. But it's because I had all these storyboards laid out, communicated everything to our cinematographer in advance. So he already knew what I wanted.
Right.
So that's why that's possible. And in terms of the emotional core, I mean, that's the actors. I leave that up to them.
It's fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know if you want to talk about distribution yet, but it will be available overseas, right? Dialogue Craft is in the UK, and they would like to know how they can watch it.
It will. So the plan right now is, as long as we partner with the distributor and the international sales agent, the target release, and it will be worldwide, would be September, because they have to go. They need the lead time to go to certain festivals, markets, to go sell the film to other distributors around the world. But it will be in the UK. That's no doubt.
That's awesome. Mark, any other questions from you?
No, I just hope you end up coming down to one of the horror conventions in Florida. at some point in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I was there, MegaCon.
Mark doesn't go to MegaCon.
Oh, like
Well,
He
for
only
me,
does the horror thing.
for the ones that I go to,
He
it's
goes to Spookala or Spooky Empire. Sometimes Well, no, you've never been to Nightmare Weekend.
no. So just really specifically come down to the 2 conventions I go to.
Right.
It's
That's what I'm
sometimes
saying.
here, right? I will have my T-shirt ready.
because we had a horror section, and that was like on the upper floor. It was just all horror, put on by Indie Horror Junkie, and we
I
had a
did not know
screening of
that.
the Fetus there too. So,
Oh, how did I miss that? Damn it. You'll have to keep me posted if you ever come back to Florida again, for sure.
Yep.
And but anyway, I really appreciate your time, Joe. I hope we can have you back on after the digital release or the physical media, because I'd love to talk about how it's received and the reception and all that kind of stuff, and then what's coming in the future.
Well, you guys just reach out to me in September.
Yep.
So I'll get you a screener. So you guys like to do a review, like time it with the release.
Would love it.
And in the meantime, I can send you both some merch. So just send me your addresses.
That'd be amazing.
All right.
That would be amazing. I appreciate that.
T-shirt size.
Okay, I will do that.
And if you need any taglines or any ideas in marketing, probably don't go to me.
Mark, I have a Cricut. I could probably make it happen. Just saying.
We'll have a new poster that says the Fetus, and then we'll have the creature coming out of Lauren, and then it'll say Mark was here.
Yeah, right.
Yes. How much do I need to send you to make that up?
Or Mark's condom broke. Yes.
Mark, there's one final question for you and I.
Yes.
But so I do want to acknowledge Tyler Kraft said, thank you for your time. Have a great night. Question for Jim and Mark. Do you have any films out or creative projects? I can't talk about that right now. I do have a creative project that I can talk about. I'm putting together a Bizarro and Splatterpunk anthology that will be published late June, early July. And all of the proceeds are going to a charity called the Point Foundation, which provides college scholarships to LGBTQIA youth.
And I do nothing apart from creating crap. Sorry.
But that's all I have going on.
Taglines, of course.
Yeah, you're great with taglines, Mark. You do have that. But anyway, Joe, thank you again for joining us tonight. It was a blast to meet you in person at Mad Monster, and it's been a great time having this conversation. So thank you very much.
Yep. Looking forward to having you guys on.
And I can't wait to watch the film when it's out.